What's up, everyone? Sean Count Blagrath here today with an album review. This time of the 2013 HSP Productions release of Evil Never Dies by Crucificator. If you are not familiar with this band, they are a death metal band hailing from Quebec, and they play a style of old school death metal that's very reminiscent to old Cannibal Corpse, old Deicide, and the likes of that, the American death metal sound. So, basically what you get on this album is 8 ripping tracks of classic style death metal. And many of you guys know I'm not a big fan of old school death metal. It's a style that I'm personally not a big fan of. I much prefer black metal over death metal, but it's still damn good. And sometimes when the mood strikes, I like to listen to some old Cannibal Corpse and shit like that. So when I gave this CD a listen, I was thoroughly pleased that I now have a new band to listen to when I'm getting into that sort of kick, because this is old school death metal worship done right. Pretty much the songs are straight to the point. There's nothing that really drags on about them. And for me, I feel like a lot of the older styles of black metal really drag on, and it kind of prolongs the duration of the album, and it just gets boring, where this doesn't really get monotonous. And for some reason, I find this to be an incredibly entertaining album. Just an absolutely crushing old school early to mid 90s death metal guitar tone. Absolutely nothing fancy, nothing processed, nothing digital about the sound of the guitars. It's just a straight up assault, and I love the riffs. They're catchy, they're crushing, they're full of notes, and they're not boring as hell to listen to. But the thing that's a deal breaker for me with old school death metal is the drumming. And I'll either love it or I'll absolutely despise it. And thank God I love the drumming on this, or Satan, whoever I should thank, because the drums on this are varied enough to where it keeps things interesting, even when the guitar kind of gets a little bland at times. Just for me personally, the drums make up for it by doing something a little bit different than what the average old school death metal drummer would do. And another thing I gotta say about the drums, and I find this a lot in underground death metal, of these lesser known bands that play the old school style, they're very sloppy and half-assed. And I gotta say, this is not sloppy at all, and I love it. Absolutely love this. One of the best parts, not only about the drums and how tight they are, also is the sound. The drum sound on this is perfect for the style that they play. The kick drums have a tiny bit of click to them, but it's not too much to the point where it's annoying. Kind of like on a lot of these new modern death metal albums, the kick drum just sounds like a series of clicks, and there's no actual bass to the bass drum. The kick drum just ends up sounding like a tap instead of like a loud thud, like I believe a kick drum should sound. Yeah, this sounds absolutely killer. The snare has tons of attack. In slow sections, it sounds good, and when it's in the faster, more blast beat and the thrash and the grooves, that sort of thing, it cuts through well enough to the point where each hit is distinguishable, and it doesn't sound like a wall of noise, and it also sounds real, not artificial. Love that. Cymbal sound, fantastic. Bass, it's a little buried in the mix, but it sounds really good. And the vocals are just a straight up old school death metal style vocal. Kind of reminds me of Old Morbid Angel, which is a very good thing. Just really good stuff. Songwriting is watertight on this. If you are a fan of Old Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, Morbid Angel, the classic old school death metal sound. This is definitely for you. Now, this may not be something I can listen to on a constant basis, but this is something I can definitely get into when I'm in the mood for it. So this is really, really good. For a score, I'm going to give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. Really good. The perfect length of an album. If you like old school death metal, you will absolutely love this. HSP Productions has done a great job with the layout once again. Absolutely killer. The album cover, it's just, you know what you're getting into when you look at that. Awesome stuff. Printed disc, and of course you get a booklet with lyrics and pictures of the band. So yeah, definitely give this a listen if you're wanting to check out some newer old school death metal in the American vein instead of the new trend of kind of worshiping the Swedish sound. Give this a listen. This will definitely tickle your fancy or tickle whatever you want it to tickle. But that's it, 7.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And as always, keep it metal.